broadly, we go through the different steps. So like I mentioned to you that, if the client has a software system, I would say, okay, when do you start the process for the next year or the following year? When do you start planning in the current year? You're obviously bringing in all the data. What depth of analysis do you do? What kind of, are you looking at the syndicated data for the current year to see the lifts from the promotions? Have you done any return on investment analysis this year? What have you learned? Do you implement your knowledge and your learning? So these are the different questions that we go through. So the planning process is the first one. The accrual process is very important. And as having worked as a CFO, I'm very keen to make sure that the information that is coming from the planning process is going into the company's budgets, and that same information is then being used to actually drive monthly accruals. And I am also very keen to make sure that the accruals are complete. So I'm very, very keen that the companies are able to have accurate accruals. So as we go through that process, and as I'm going through the best practices, we come across weaknesses. And then the conversation is about how do we rectify those weaknesses? How do we do things different so that a more robust accrual process is designed within the company? The third process is the clearing of deductions. So within this, you have the order to cash folks, the cash application teams that are very important because they are the ones who are receiving the checks. The devil is always in the details. The cash application team is seeing all of these scenarios. And so, if sales team representatives are available in this meeting, some of the questions are being answered right then and there that, okay, order to cash team, if you see this, treat it this way, that way. If you receive a customer credit, do it this way, do it that way. And then with that, the deduction teams, when the deductions team they clear against an accrual. So goes back to the planning exercise, goes into the accrual exercise. Planning is more with commercial finance and the sales team. The accrual is with the accounting team. So they have to work seamlessly to be able to provide enough accruals to the deduction team for them to clear deductions. And last but not least, the reporting aspect, which is what information would the management team like to see at the end of the month? What information would the accounting team like to see? What information would the sales team like to see? So, all of that are different aspects or facets of the reporting, and how is the data being accumulated to be able to run those reports. So if a particular function wants to see a certain type of report, then you have to make sure that you book the transaction in a certain way so that those reports are possible.